wanted to go over, not everybody knows the actual parts of a movie. Not terribly often, unless it's a reality show, unless it's a documentary. Very often, with the exception of the speech, you normally don't hear too much of what actually happened on set. Things like, dialogue's pretty self-explanatory, but backgrounds, the music we hear back there, probably the music. First off, we don't have a license for it. Second off, what music tells you what to feel. This stuff fills in the holes. Backgrounds are things like, very often we have, believe it or not, there's almost always a clock in any interior room. My backgrounds editor friends always put a clock in almost any interior room. Why? I have no idea. I don't see a clock anywhere. But they do it. Why? Because it makes a room feel whole. Foley, it's basically anything where a human being is actually making a sound. This may not sound important, but if you ever have a chance of giving this to an international distributor, what are they going to do with all of the dialogue? Trash it. It's gone. But more importantly, who knows a language other than English? It ain't me. Okay. How long does it take you to say, I want to go home in whatever language you happen to know? It's probably a different amount of time than it takes to say, I want to go home in English, right? What happens if it's a shorter period of time? There's a hole there. Right. The Foley, the backgrounds, they all have to be there or it won't sound real. All of a sudden, it'll be, this language and then nothing. And it's going to sound weird. So having Foley and having the backgrounds covered, front to back, is vital. Otherwise, they're going to make you pay to have it done again. Special effects are pretty straightforward. Anything not done by a human hand. Putting a knob to a door, putting your hand to a doorknob, that quick. Having the door, you hear the door creaking open, that's special effects. And it's not something that you'll probably pick up in production anywhere near as good as everything else. So, scores, the music, sound design is, things like, I don't know, dragons, breathing flame. I'm sure you can go to a dragon farm and try to record one if you can get it to do so, but if Harry Potter doesn't feel like helping you out, you're not going to do it. So, sound design, put stuff together. Who saw Lord of the Rings? Okay. That huge, what do they call it, a Nazgul, right? The huge flying dragon thing that Black Knight had? Yeah, that was a donkey. I kid you not. That was a donkey. That was. There you go. There you go. The point is, sound designers make things that never existed in reality. Very often, sound effects guys will do that. And could you just go ahead? There you go. Right. Right. I've gotten a lot of questions about surround sound. Surround sound is not done on set. Surround sound is done in the final mixing stage. Okay. Yeah. Surround sound is basically center, left, right, front, left, right, rear, and a subwoofer. That's what 5.1 actually means. 7.1, what was it? There was a movie that just came out actually in, Toy Story 3 is the first production movie, to my knowledge, that has actually done everything in 7.1. It's not going to be common for quite some time. But if you want to go to the arc light in Hollywood, you can actually experience it in 7.1. To my knowledge, you're the only ones that have actually done 7.1. The point is, the mixer creates 5.1 from scratch. And he assigns the voices to come out of one point or another. They assign, sounds to come from different directions. You don't have to worry about physically creating it on the set, because everything is mono on the set. And next one. We already kind of covered that pretty well. Okay. Pretty much the last thing is what to deliver to the sound supervisor, whoever's actually in charge of handling the sound and handling the sound staff, if there is a staff to be handled. This is the other really super important thing. Most people in here that are going to edit are going to edit on a program called Final Cut Pro. Final Cut Pro has a maximum of a 2 gig file. This is usually nowhere near enough memory to take care of all the audio for your show. What is normally done in Hollywood is you separate it into reels, anywhere between 16 and 20 minutes. Usually you try to separate it where there's no music going on and you have a hard cut for the next scene. So somewhere in that 16 to 20 minute range is good, because then you can label it. And I also asked for a time code bar. You guys ever seen time code bar? See the numbers flying on the bottom of the screen? That's time code. It's important to make sure that you have time code and what's called a 2-pop, and I've got a little video of a 2-pop I'll play for you in a second. At the front and the head, at the front and the tail. The reason is different people shoot at different frame rates. If your OMF, which is your final output to me, is at, say, 30 frames a second, and your video's at 24, those head and tail pops will be in 2 different universes. And I'll know those 2 things will never be in sync. If they're not in sync, I know I've got a problem, and I'll know right away. Otherwise, as I go farther and farther down the movie, it'll start sounding a little bit more like, well, you've seen those Japanese fighting movies? It's something like you'll see the picture and go, I'm insulted by family, you know, go like that. Beyond that, just make sure you tell me what everything is. The way you do that is every reel starts at that hour. So reel 1, I know it's not an actual hour, but this is how we separate the things. So reel 1 is hour 1, reel 2, hour 2, etc., etc., etc. Try to make them small, by the way. Having them this size means I can't see things. So as small as you can, just somewhere out of the way. Beyond that, there really aren't too many options as far as audio editing programs out there. Final Cut has Soundtrack. It doesn't quite do what Pro Tools does. Pro Tools is pretty much the main editing program. It does not read M4V. So try to make it H.264. It'll end in .mov, just pretty much automatically. Dixie Pro will, work. Yeah, but for the most part, this is just kind of a general one. Yeah, the only other thing you have to give me is all of your audio takes, whether or not you actually use them in the show. That way, if I have all the takes, I have all the alternates as well. Remember we were talking about take 1 through 6? Well, if you just give me what you did in the movie, I have take 6. I don't have the other 5. I need the other 5 to make sure that I can complete. And I think that's yeah, there's a couple of examples. I've read this one. I've been told by more than one person that this is a good book. If you guys are looking for good production sound or just general notes, the ISBNs are right there, and yeah, those are good, really good references. If you want to learn a little bit more, read a little bit more. And if you guys need me to hold on, because okay. Or I can come back to it. Go ahead and there you go. That's a good way of doing it. Yeah. And that's my contact information, and thanks a lot, guys. This is the only thing we're going to use for the projector, and there's going to be a quick break while we take this down. These guys are going to talk.